Man, the Suns drop below 500. Can the Brooklyn Nets stay afloat without Kevin Durant? And Jordan Clarkson gives us another hold me back moment. I'm Rosa Panta. This is a Clinic All NBA podcast. I have the two hooligans with me. JJ, how you living, my friend?
Woo, feeling good, feeling great. I got my boys here, and NFL playoffs is about to start. Give it up.
Yeah, man. Sammy, how you living, my friend?
I'm good, man. Looking forward to the playoffs myself, and hopefully the Clippers can get it back on track here to match my Chiefs. But, we'll see what happens.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. And you know what? We're going to start with some basketball news here. The Suns, the Phoenix Suns, they are suddenly below 500 after dropping 6 straight. They had a loss to the Knicks, the Cavs, Heat, Cavs again, etc. And I wanted to ask you guys, first, who can explain why these losses keep coming?
I mean, it looks like it's a combination of a few things. I mean, the injuries have hit hard. We'll give them that. Devin Booker is unequivocally the best player on this team. He's been out, I want to say at this point, it's been about a month with no return date in sight that I've seen. He tried to come back, played all of 4 or 5 minutes, re-aggravated. I want to say it was a groin injury. So obviously you took the most important cog out. That's going to hurt. In addition to that, Shamit's been out on and off. That creates a cluster problem at the 2 guard. Chris Paul's been having injury issues. DeAndre Ayton has hurt his ankle a couple times. So that would be your easy answer. To me, though, just watching them play on the court, it does feel like the chemistry still doesn't look quite right. And I know at the beginning of the year, that was a conversation piece that a lot of people had. I know we had it on this podcast more than once. Something about them just doesn't feel right. And it's like they were fragile and holding it together when everyone was healthy, but a couple injuries hit and it's starting to get exposed a little. And it hasn't been outwardly there outside of 1 or 2 incidents, but it just seems like they're not quite right, unless I'm overreading into that. But you guys tell me, does it look like that to you?
No, I don't think you're overreading it, Sammy. Just to add on to what you were saying, I feel like I don't know if it's the training staff, is it Coach Monty, or I don't know who to exactly blame. I know this was your question, Jun, but you have Devin Booker, who's had this groin injury 4 times already, and then he goes out to play, right? You have Cam Payne, who's injured right now, and his same injury re-aggravated again. And then you have Chris Paul, who went out with his injury, right? And this dude has been playing insane amount of minutes. I think before he got injured, he was playing 40 minutes. So is this on the training staff? Is this on the coaching staff? That's my first question. And my second question relates to Sammy. What he was saying is, are the Suns playing with joy? And that's a phrase that you hear, for example, Coach Kerr always say, playing with joy is very important. When you're winning, it's fun. That's why we play the game. It's fun. But Sammy, I don't know, man. I don't really see the Suns playing with joy this year. And the obvious one person is Aiden. You have Crowder not even wanting to play, which that's an important roster spot for a championship team who plays defense and is a 3-and-D guy, and they need threes, as we all know, they need defense. So those are my 2 questions for the Suns. Like, what's going on with that, Jun and Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. After hearing that Chris Paul and Devin Booker were both injured, and that DeAndre Ayton was probably going to have to carry some of this load here, I was kind of excited for him to see what that was going to look like. And honestly, it's been kind of subpar, especially for the contract that he garnered. He wanted a max contract, right? Well, these are max minutes that you're getting, max responsibility, right? And to drop 6 games, I don't know, man. I don't know if his value drops down just a little bit, or maybe these are just some growing pains for the Suns. But I'm going to ask you guys this question here. Do you guys think the Suns will eventually pull themselves out of this slump and get back to probably, let's say, the top 4 seeds of the West?
I think they'll pull themselves out if they get healthy at some point, just because of the amount of talent when this team is fully healthy. The other person we haven't mentioned on the pod that we talked offline about was also Cam Johnson, who's not, a star, but he was going to start at the 4 for them and have a very specific role. He hasn't been there all season either.
Yeah, definitely
basically.
a key piece. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And could they get back to the top 4? I don't think they'll finish there, but it wouldn't surprise me only because of how clustered the West still is right now. And I know Denver, Memphis, and then to a lesser extent, New Orleans are kind of there at the top, but one team goes on a 6-7 game run, they're going to jump into that spot as long as you're in like the top, call it the top 10. I think they'll finish in the top 6, but I think it's going to be in the 4, 5, 6 range. Somewhere in that spot. That's how I see this playing out. Again, assuming they get back to full health.
Yeah, I think they could make it to a top seed. It's just really interesting this year, fellas, just because you have a week where, for example, the Kings, Warriors, and Clippers, they could be within the 5th, 6th, 7th seed, and then another week they could be on the 10th, 11th, which is pretty crazy. So the Suns, they're in a dangerous place because we all know that once All-Star break hits, which is next month, that's when teams really ramp up to make their seeding solidified, and it could be a very slippery slope if this next month, for example, the Suns, they lose, the majority of their games, they might be in the Laker and Jazz territory.
Yeah, I definitely think they're in danger of being sort of somewhere between 6 and 10 seeds. I do expect them to at least make the play-in just because they have that much talent. The coaching is still really good. Monty Williams has definitely proven himself over the past couple of years. But I mean, just losing 6 straight really dropped them from the 2nd, 3rd seed all the way down. Where do they sit now? They sit at the 8th seed, but they are tied in almost in a 3-way tie between Clippers, Suns, Timberwolves, and maybe the Blazers at 19 wins there. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. And speaking of the Clippers, I want to talk about them a little bit because they also have a 6-game slide. And I can't wait to hear what Sammy has to say about this because we all know that Sammy loves the Clippers. But they've had recent losses to the Heat, Nuggets, Wolves, Hawks, and Kawhi Leonard was asked about their losing streak and how they're doing, and he had this to say. He said, I think it's still good, and he's basically talking about the team chemistry when facing adversity. Guys are still being positive. This is the spot where the Clippers see if you really enjoy playing the game, and if we're a team, seeing if we could dig out of this hole. It's fun. It's a good challenge for us. So, are you guys concerned about the Clippers' 6-game slide here, or is this kind of growing pains for them?
Let me go ahead and start first, Sammy, because I know you could go off on the Clippers right now, but let me know if I'm wrong. My first observation that I do see with the Clippers is their problem with point guard. You have Reggie and you have Wall, and according to what I see and what I've heard from Clipper fans, especially you, is that they've been playing complete crap, and you need to. I think what needs to happen is just give the starting role to Man. That's what I would do. That's my first observation. My second observation, which is pretty obvious, is the injury woes. So I'll let you go into that. But third, it's with Ty Lue, we know that he's a coaching genius in terms of strategy, but I feel that right now his main complaint are his rotations. You have some nights where you have specific players where they don't even get minutes, like Rocco and Powell. So those are, I think, symptoms of growing pains because those are easily fixable. My concern with the Clippers is that when you do head into the playoffs, you don't want to be too late to form chemistry. And we've all said that chemistry is a huge important role in winning a championship. The only team that you could say with all new players that won a championship with its main core pieces would be those Celtics with Garnett, Pierce, and Ray Allen. But even like the Heatles with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, they needed time to mesh. The Warriors were lucky with Durant, but remember, they had a Game 7 series with the Rockets. No one's going to come in without chemistry and win, and if they do, it's like very, very rare. Sammy, what do you think of those
Next
points?
question. So I think you hit it on the head, man. The biggest problem right now, unfortunately, has, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of encore placement point guard, Reggie does not look like Reggie right now. I don't know if he's either feeling like he needs to assert himself more because of the quality of shooters around him and he wants to get his. Doesn't strike me as a selfish guy the way he's conducted himself in LA. Or I don't know if he's feeling tentative internally as a result of that, but obviously Ty Lue saw the issue, benched him, didn't start Wall, started Man, and I agree with you. I'd like to see what Man looks like with the starting five for a couple games. He brings a note of athleticism that the rest of the starting five just doesn't have right now, and a little more energy. He does the dirty work, and I think they need a player like that in the starting five. Second problem that I think they might have stumbled upon a solution on, we will see, is we haven't seen a backup big that's been reliable there. You got Rocco in a sense, but like a true backup five to Zoo, and as a result, if Zoo goes out of the game, there is just no rim protection at all. And it looks like they might have stumbled upon something in Moses Brown. I really like him. He's a young kid, started at OKC, came out of UCLA. Fouls a little too much, but when he's on the court, man, he's like a ball of fire. He's always around the basket, rebounds it really well. If they can get him a little under control, I think they might have stumbled upon a solution there. Talking 10 to 12 minutes a game, nothing major.
Yeah.
Ultimately, too, it's like you said, man, it goes back to health, and they can keep talking about wanting to figure the pieces out and putting them together, and I know they're trying to be cautious, but we're more than halfway through the year now. They're 21-21. They've just passed the halfway mark. Outside of Marcus Morris, Reggie, ironically, and Zoo, and actually Terrence Mann, most of the other players have missed at least 6, 7, 8 games. These guys have to get on the court together for 20 games in a row and figure out who's in the rotation and who is gonna be the odd man out. Is it gonna be Rocco? Is it gonna be somebody else that we're not talking about yet? Like yesterday, Reggie didn't play the entire second half, and they were saying it was just for now to try to give a spark. Who knows? If Man is the guy that they want him to be in the starting five, that might knock Jackson out of the rotation altogether. So,
and Man did start the last game, right?
Man started the game. Wall and Jackson both played in the first half, but Jackson did not play in the second half.
Okay.
So it's just, you've got all these moving pieces, and you're kind of throwing it at Ty Lue to figure it out. But at the same time, he's almost been a little too calm and collected about it. So I want to see how they address it going forward. I know I've been long-winded about this. The last thing I'll say is they need to find a defined role game after game for Kennard. He is by far the best shooter on the team. His plus-minus is always good. He can play off of pretty much anyone, and he's barely played in lineups with Kawhi and PG all season. I want to see what he looks like with those two, because you would assume that he's going to get open looks left and right, and he's shooting 45-46% from deep 2 years running. You got to get him in there with them to give him these free looks. So am I, obviously down about where they are right now? Of course, but I think they have time to right the ship. But the next 2 games are going to be important. They need to come out and just get themselves out of this. Hopefully PG and Kennard are healthy for the next game. We'll see what happens from there. So that's my homer take.
I'm not really super concerned about the Clippers. I mean, this is why you guys have one of the deepest teams in the league, right? And it's just sort of unfortunate that we have to figure out how deep you guys are because of injuries. And eventually you would hope that these players get healthy. I know the Clippers have horrible injury luck, but prediction time here. Do you guys think Terrence Mann ends up taking the point guard spot by the end of the year?
Yes.
JJ's going with a yes.
He should be averaging 28 minutes per game. That's my take.
I agree with you 100%. I don't like the fact that he doesn't play a lot of games. I'm hoping for yes. I'm going to be pessimistic and say no, he does not, but he plays more going forward in the rest of the year.
Deal. I'm gonna go with yes. I'm really hoping that Terrence Mann does take that point guard spot, just because he does provide that spark. I feel like that they really need, and it just feels like that starting lineup is just sort of in a slog. I don't know, the past few games that I've watched, at least, it just seems like they start really slow.
Yes, that Denver game was over by the end of the first quarter.
Dude, oh my gosh, the sky was falling that day for you, Sammy.
Oh,
it was like completely ridiculous. It's like, yeah, that was a bad game.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the worst I've seen, actually. But we'll see if the Clippers can right the ship here. We're going to take our next topic. It's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, guys, has a MCL injury while playing the Heat. I guess Jimmy Butler fell down after trying to, I think, get a rebound, or he was laying it up, I forget. But he ended up falling on Kevin Durant's knee. And Kevin Durant was seen just kind of grabbing his right knee and staying on the ground for a while. And it sounds like it's not a serious injury. It's an MCL sprain. He's going to be out for, they hope, less than a month. But I want to ask you guys, the Brooklyn Nets have been absolutely on fire lately. They've been one of the hottest teams in the league. What do you guys think moving forward? Do you think the Brooklyn Nets can stay afloat in like the top 3 seeds in the East without Kevin Durant?
Ooh, without Kevin Durant, I don't think so. I'll put my money that they should still be good, but I don't think when you lose a player of that caliber that you're gonna continue to streak. Just off figures right now and stats, that the offensive rating right now, they're sitting at 121.4 within the last 15 games, which is first in the league. And to my surprise, with their defensive rating, they're sitting at 6th place, guys, within the last 15 games at a 111.7. I never expected the Nets to play good defense, especially what we've seen from last year. But Sammy, you might be right, man, that Ben Simmons' pickup might have glued some defensive key points for them. And weird stat, but I think that they're 7-1 if Ben Simmons doesn't shoot a free throw, and they're 1-7 when he does. I've read that somewhere.
That's hilarious.
I don't know if that's coincidence or causation, but I don't know. Pretty crazy. Simon, what do you think though about the Nets, man? Can they stay afloat like what June was saying?
I think on some level they can. They're gonna obviously fall. If you're losing, KD is arguably the MVP at this point in the year, and you're losing him for up to a month.
Yeah.
I would assume that they're gonna try to fill in that spot with probably more TJ Warren, maybe Watanabe, probably a little bit of Joe Harris. And you're gonna do your best to do that, but at the same time, Durant's Durant. I did notice the schedule over the next 3 weeks for them will actually be very beneficial. They get Boston tomorrow, or excuse me, Thursday. Obviously, that one's gonna be rough. After that, check out this schedule. There is a long road trip here, bud. Home OKC, at San Antonio, at Phoenix, we just talked about, at Utah. They've got one with your Warriors, at Philly, home Detroit, home Knicks, home Lakers. That's until the end of January.
That's not bad.
That is not a bad schedule, and they might be able to get away with maybe a couple losses there. Like maybe they'll lose 3 of those games, but they're still going to be favored in more than half of them. So timing-wise, they might have lucked out. You wonder if they play well enough, if they're going to be cautious and take it all the way through the All-Star break. In terms of KD's injury, I'd be curious to see how they handle that. Mm-hmm. But for that reason alone, and I'll give props, man. Kyrie's been great lately. If he can hold up his play and they don't put too much on him, I think they'll stay afloat. They're going to fall off a little, but I don't think they're going to full on tumble down the standings. June, what do you think?
I don't think so either. And that defensive stat is the reason why I give them a lot of hope. I was actually going to drop that too, Jay, where they're sitting 6th in defense. And like, that's absolutely incredible. I don't think a lot of us really expected this group to play some fierce defense. But if your team could play good defense, I want to say that you're able to stay in games. And I know Kevin Durant is a big part of that because, you know, he could somewhat play the 5. He plays really unsuspectingly good defense on the inside, as far as like giving some rim protection, adding some length on perimeter defense as well. He can't move as fast, but I don't think you're going to lose a whole lot on defense with Watanabe and also some of the other characters that you're TJ Warren and those guys. So this is definitely going to be Kyrie Irving's show. And I expect him, like the next few games, like you said, to really only drop 3, maybe. So I guess we'll wait and see how that goes. We're going to take a short little break with a word from our sponsor.
The NFL playoff picture is locked in, and my go-to place for wild card round action is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off the road to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TBPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TBPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Wow.
All right, we're going to talk about LeBron James and Sam Amick. And basically, Sam Amick had this to say. And it was LeBron James to The Athletic on the Lakers roster plans. He said, y'all know what the bleep should be happening. And basically, he's talking about the impatience that LeBron may be having about changing the roster to help him win a championship.
Wow.
And LeBron actually responded to this, and he said, hey, Sam, actually, my patience isn't waning. You make it sound like I'm frustrated when I'm really not. I told you over and over, my job is focused on the guys in the locker room. My job isn't the roster. That's the reality of the conversation. And I said what I said with the utmost respect and calmness, because that's the mood I'm in. You're welcome. 5-game winning streak, and then with like a winky face emoji and a king's crown. What do you guys think about Sam Amick's report here? Do you guys think there's some truth to this? Do you guys think this is smoke? What do you guys think?
I'm divided on this one. There's a part of me that looks at LeBron's track record. He goes to a new place, and I know he's not new in the Lakers anymore, but clear out the assets, bring in all the talent you can. We're going to try to win it while I'm here. But it's pretty much out there without being said that when he came to LA, basketball was not necessarily the primary decision. He came to LA to expand his businesses. He came to LA because he wanted his sons and his daughter to go to school at Sierra LA. I definitely regard him as a top 3 player that's ever played this game, but I legitimately wonder, is basketball as important as it was to him 10 years ago? And I'm not sure about that. So that being said, is he still pushing for this stuff the way he used to? And I don't know the answer. I think if the right move comes along, he's going to push them hard for it. But based on what happened last year, I do think the story was a bit exaggerated, the way it was tweeted out. And that's why he felt compelled to respond, because the LeBron we've seen in the past never really got into it, like with the media over Twitter and like disputed their stories. You know, he still let him pass. So that was my response when I saw this. But I'll leave Jay to agree or disagree with me on this.
I mean, I agree with you. If you look at his past, his MO has always been like, do whatever it takes to beef up the roster for my own benefit, or in this case, the team's benefit. So I just feel that it's funny that he put with the utmost respect and he rants off and like tries to, you know, take down this fool by words and with a tweet. You could simply just not even say anything. But the fact that he responded to the Athletic Amick's report with the utmost respect and then said what he had to say, I find it super hilarious because it's LeBron. You know, LeBron loves to control his narrative, especially with the Lakers, because of so much scrutiny and the controversy and all the critics that follows with him and the Laker franchise. I just felt that was funny that you even put that. Good job, LeBron.
I I think it's also kind of funny, like breaking down LeBron's like response here. He also said, "My job isn't the roster," but people have nicknamed Le GM like 1,000 times because he does help with these roster moves, and I think that's why he's got to field these questions. I'm also gonna ask you guys about this. It's not on the outline, but did you guys see? I guess after the Lakers just won recently, in the locker room, they were like, "All right, guys, let's get greedy. Let's get greedy." And then like everyone's like hyped for this, like, yeah, let's do this. And then Russell Westbrook interrupts and is like, "Hey guys, let's just have fun. Like, win or loss, draw, doesn't matter. We should just be having fun." What do you guys think LeBron James was thinking in that moment when Russell Westbrook responded like that?
Why haven't we traded this fool yet?
That's probably accurate. I'm gonna just move on. I'll move on from that.
I think you find that fun, but I'll leave it at that.
Deal. Yeah. All right, we're gonna talk about Jordan Clarkson here. So I'm sure you all saw it. Desmond Bane was like going up for a layup. Jordan Clarkson maybe was swinging for the ball. I don't know, but he wind up that block pretty far back and ended up hitting Desmond Bane in the head, which caused a fight. And of course, Jordan Clarkson immediately puts up his hands like he's about to fight. And he ended up getting a flagrant 2, getting ejected. He left the game with his arms held high. First off, I want to ask you guys, was this ejection necessary?
You almost have to if he squares up, right?
That's true.
Like, honestly, if he didn't do that, then no. I don't think you had to. But the fact that he squared up, I'm like, really? You squared up on Jaren Jackson? What do you think is going to happen in that scenario? Stop it.
That's what I'm saying.
Get some help. Yeah, I think you had to just because he squared up, man. That's like, there's not much more to add to that, but I would leave it at that.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying that the fact that Jordan Clarkson was the one that fouled Desmond Bane and he put his hands up afterwards. So like, yeah. I guess he was expecting a fight because he knew what he did was wrong.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna win against Triple J, like what Sammy's saying. Come on, man. What are you thinking?
Yeah, this is true. And Jordan Clarkson has like this history of like squaring up. I think there was like a highlight reel of like 3 clips this year where he's sort of like in scuffles and he just puts up his hands like he's gonna fight. Just kind of funny. But anyway, that's actually all we have for tonight's pod. I want to thank you two for being on. JJ, thanks for being on, man.
Hey, shout out to our listeners. Shout out to John, who messed out on the pod. Miss you, brother. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, shout out to John. Sammy, thanks for being on, man.
Good to be back, man. Always good to be here.
And shout out to our video producer, RJ. Check out our YouTube channel. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review. Like us on our Facebook group page, The Clinic All NBA Podcast, and follow us on Twitter at Clinic All NBA. I'm Rose Zapanta. This is The Clinic All NBA Podcast. Come find us wherever you get your podcasts.